The first rule is I wanted to pick games that are mainly single player games. Hey guys, what's up? Hope you're doing well. And in today's video, I wanted to expand upon a previous video I made. In the previous video I made, it was about trophy completion data on PS5 and seeing how far people are actually getting in their games. And I kind of noticed that people are only getting to between like 35 to maybe 55% in completing games. And I did a wide range of games to single player games and multiplayer games. So if you guys want to see that video, go ahead and I'll link it up here and you guys can go ahead and check that out. But in this video, I kind of wanted to expand on that idea and kind of make it more of a competition. Maybe compare Xbox versus PlayStation on games and see who's getting further on playing games. I know Xbox has Game Pass and stuff like that, and PlayStation also has PlayStation Plus or PlayStation Premium and stuff like that, so people can get games that way. But I picked a few games or I selected a few categories to kind of like mitigate some of those problems so we can kind of make the playing field even for this video. The 5 categories I kind of selected to do are first party Xbox Game Pass versus first party PlayStation with PS Plus. So that's one category. The second category is Xbox first party with Game Pass versus Xbox first party with on PlayStation. So like imagine a game like Indiana Jones or a game like Doom. Those games are on both platforms, but one is on Game Pass on Xbox and one is on PlayStation without Game Pass or without PSN. The next one is third-party games, so third-party Xbox on Game Pass versus third-party PlayStation with no PSN. So that's going to be a category that can kind of skew towards one side. And then the next one is going to be third-party Xbox, no Game Pass, and third-party PlayStation with PSN Plus or Essentials. And then the last category is indie Xbox, no Game Pass versus indie PlayStation, no PSN. So if you guys are interested in seeing this or seeing where this goes, stay tuned and then let's get into it. Okay, and before we get started here with the categories that I selected, I want to lay a few ground rules. The first rule is I wanted to pick games that are mainly single player games just to keep it simple. I didn't want to add any multiplayer trophies into this video. And then I wanted to do one achievement / trophy from each game. So I'm choosing the final trophy that you would earn for completing the game. So it's like finishing the final dungeon or beating the last boss or seeing the last cutscene. Those are the trophies and achievements that I'm mainly going off. And the first category that I wanted to get into first party Xbox on Game Pass versus first party PlayStation on PS Premium Essential. The first 2 games that I'm putting head to head here are Indiana Jones versus Horizon Forbidden West. And this game was on PlayStation Premium for about a year. It was on there from February 2023 to September 2024. So I thought this would be a fair enough comparison, but it's still not the closest, but it's close enough, I think, for this sort of video. And for the numbers here, we're going to jump into Indiana Jones first. And then for Indiana Jones, the achievement that I'm looking at here, it's called Atonement. And it looks like only 15.3% of players have completed it, which that's a pretty low number. Like that's pretty low for a game that's on Game Pass. There's a lot of people who've played it, but it's 15.3% of players have completed the game getting the last achievement. And for Horizon Forbidden West, the trophy is called Discovered Nemesis, and 30.4% of players have completed it. So that's the first category here, and then we're going to jump into the next one. Okay, this next category is first party Xbox on Game Pass versus third party Xbox on PlayStation. So it's going to be on Game Pass, a Game Pass title versus a non-Game Pass title, but they're on 2 different platforms. And the title that I selected was Doom: The Dark Ages. I picked this game because Doom used to be third party before Microsoft acquired them. So this will be interesting to see because Doom has always been on PlayStation, so it'll be a good comparison here. So the trophy that I selected was Game Complete, which is pretty straightforward. You just got to complete the game. And for Xbox, that's 18.6%. And for PlayStation, it's 38.5%. So that's a big difference. I mean, that's basically double what Xbox is. And it kind of makes sense. It's like if you have to spend money to play the game like on PlayStation, like if you have to buy each individual game, you're gonna probably end up getting further into the game because you have some skin in the game for paying for the game. But that's interesting that it's like such a wide difference. It's basically 20% difference between the two. So it's definitely an interesting thing here. So it's 0-2 right now, and PlayStation's on top. And if you like what you're seeing here, please leave a like and subscribe. Really help out the channel a lot. And then I'll keep making videos like this if you think this is interesting. And the next category here that we're going to jump into is third-party games. We're going to do a third-party game that's on Xbox Game Pass versus a third-party game on PlayStation that's not on PSN or part of like their subscription model. And the game that I selected here was Clair Obscur Expedition 33. It's a pretty big game last year, and everyone talked about how great it was and how great the ending was and stuff like that. So you'd think a lot of people would have got to the end. So let's go ahead and jump into Xbox. This is on Game Pass, and for the Xbox completion rate, it's at 19.3%. And for PlayStation, it's at 42%. So you see there's a vast difference. It's basically double, kind of like we saw with the last category, but a little bit more. I mean, 19 to 42% is pretty large, pretty sizable between the two platforms. And right now we're sitting at 0-3 for Xbox. So PlayStation is really pulling ahead here with these categories that I set up. And now moving on to the fourth category here. Our fourth category is third-party games still, but we're flipping it from the last one. We're going to do third-party Xbox, which is not on Game Pass, versus third-party PlayStation, which was on PlayStation Plus. So the game that I chose was Alan Wake 2. And this game has never been on Game Pass, but it was on PlayStation Plus Essentials, which is like the lowest tier. But so it was the free game for the month of October in 2025. Let's go ahead and jump into the achievement that we chose, and it's called The Story Come True. So that's the last trophy you would get, achievement that you would get for beating the game. And for Xbox, it's at 32.4%, which that's pretty high. That's higher than all these other games that we've had that have been on Game Pass. And then for PlayStation, it's at 22.4%. So you can see, it seems like if the game is free or part of a subscription, that these numbers kind of get skewed down a little bit because more people are trying it out or whatever. But it seems like people just aren't finishing them because there's no skin in the game. It seems like they're either they actually just don't enjoy the game, or they just have so many games to play on like a Game Pass or a PlayStation Plus that they just aren't able to finish these games, or they just keep game hopping basically. So that's a win for Xbox. So it's 1-3 right now. And yeah, let's move on to the next one. And for the last category here, I wanted to pick a game that's kind of like you had to go out of your way to pick up, a game that really wasn't like the biggest game ever. And usually if you're buying a game like this, you're kind of like invested and you really want to play it. So the category here is indie games, or it's an indie game that's not on Xbox Game Pass, and an indie game that wasn't on PlayStation Plus. So the game I picked was Penny's Big Breakaway, and the trophy that is for beating the game is One for the Ages, and for Xbox it's at 7.2% of players have beat it, and then for PlayStation it's at 17.6% of players have beat it. So I thought this would be a good one to pick because it's a shorter game. It only takes maybe like 10 hours to beat or less if you're really fast at playing the game, but both platforms had to pay for the game, and you kind of had to seek this game out. It wasn't like a super big game that everyone was talking about when it came out. So this is pretty low for both PlayStation and Xbox. I would thought it would have been higher for both platforms because both were spending money on playing the game. And with that, let's go ahead and start wrapping this video up here. And the final tally is 1 for Xbox, 4 for PlayStation, and it kind of doesn't really surprise me much based on my previous video, because it seems like most games that are on these subscription services don't really get completed. You get a lot of people, a lot of foot traffic of people playing these games, just installing them and trying them for a few hours and then uninstalling them or just never coming back to them. So this data really doesn't surprise me much, but the one that did surprise me was the indie game that I chose, Penny's Big Breakaway. You would think that more people would have got further into the game. Like 17% for completing on PlayStation is pretty low for a PlayStation title. You would think that it would have gotten a little bit further than that. And then Xbox is all the way down into the single digit. So it's just interesting seeing these numbers for games that you would think people would get further along, because Penny's Big Breakaway wasn't like the hugest game. You kind of had to go seek this game out to play it. So it's just interesting. And then Also, for the game that Xbox did end up winning in this video, it was the game that was on PlayStation Plus for the month. So Alan Wake. So, and it's even more interesting that Alan Wake is at 22% for being a free game for a month. I know it's only for 1 month, but it's just a it's just an interesting idea to look at these games. And I know this is a small data set. It's only what 5 categories, and then I think I only did 6 games because the first category had 2 different games for it. But it is interesting seeing this, and if you do enjoy this concept, let me know in the comments, because I am having fun like diving into this and like looking at this, and I think I have some more ideas bouncing around in my head on this. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, leave a subscribe, and share the video if you liked it, and then we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.